Let's do a quick poll here. Hey guys, I'm Nate. Welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about the handling differences and why it's actually easier to drive a car like this than maybe the RT. And I'll share an experience I had way back when with SRT versus an RT. So I think the common perspective is more power means a car that's harder to handle. And this could be true if you built a car. So and what I mean by that is, like, let's say you took a car that didn't come with a lot of power and you added a ton of power to it and you didn't really do anything beyond just power adders. Yeah, you may end up with a car that's very hard to handle. But in the case of these cars that come with a factory with a bunch of stuff, the car is kind of, created as a package to handle everything, and a thought has been put into that. I really don't think that's the case. So if we go back in time to 2009, I was at that time, the Challengers had just started coming out. Well, they first came out in 2008, but in 2009, I was seriously looking at getting a Challenger. And so the SRTs, the RTs, those different models had come out by then. I think I was driving at that time? Oh, yeah, I remember. So I was driving at that time an Infiniti M35, which was a decent amount of power. I think those cars came with about 280 back then, same engine that was in the G35s, and yeah, the car was fine. And so I figured, all right, well, 280, the RTs, they already got 375, and the SRT really only has a little bit more power, 425, only 50 more horsepower than the RT. So is it really worth it? So I went to a dealership with a buddy of mine and we test drove these cars back to back, the RT and the SRT. And what I can tell you is, and they were both manuals, and what I can tell you is from driving them, the power on the SRT, while it was noticeable a little bit more than the RT, what was really noticeable was the handling. So we took the car, and it's, people joke that this car can't handle in some boat. It's not too bad. I drove one of these, actually, manual Hellcat around Bondurant on an autocross, which is a very tight technical course. And you know what? It held its own. Is it the easiest? Is it a Miata? For sure. This thing is not a Miata, but it handled its own. It's surprising. If any of you guys that are picking up an SRT and you have that chance to do that Bondurant course, I definitely recommend it. And yeah, maybe I'll do another video and just kind of go into that Bondurant course, what are the options, and kind of, why I ended up opting for a 2-day course. So on that car though, what I did notice is the RT felt very unsettled, if that's the right word for it. Like, so we were taking it around some bends at speed, and on the RT I could kind of feel that the car was kind of wanted to slide out a little bit more. There's a little bit more body roll. On the SRT it felt a lot more planted. So from that aspect, I think it's going to be harder to get yourself into trouble in an SRT versus an RT. So then the only difference is the power, but the power is super controllable in these cars. I mean, Dodge did a great job of just modulating the throttle and stuff in this car so that it's not just crazy, right? It's not just that you've pressed the throttle and suddenly, oh my God, you're sliding all over the place. No, if you want to get the power, you put the throttle down more. If you don't want as much power, then, don't lay into the throttle as much. It's very manageable. It's actually one of the things that surprised me most about this car when I picked it up. Was I was worried with a 700 horsepower car coming from my previous car, an Audi with 300, man, this car is going to be going all over the place. Like, how are we going to deal with this thing? And that was mostly fed by stories of guys that had built up an SRT back then, put a blower on it, and they were making similar power levels to a Hellcat, and talking about how twitchy it was. But I think, again, that comes down a lot to tuning, right? Tuning and the gearing that they did. I mean, here, you can see, let's do a quick poll here. So there you go. I mean, I didn't feel like I was going to lose control there, even between the gear shifts. I do keep my car with traction control on. I know there's some of y'all out there that like to drive this car with traction control off. I personally am not one of those. So I keep traction control, keep those aids on, and I really have not felt a situation in this car where I thought I was going to lose control. The closest I ever came to that in this car was probably where I was on the highway. I was trying to get around a dump truck, and I had to slam the brakes on because we were getting into some traffic. and that was the closest, but even that was pretty good with these 6-piston Brembos. And that kind of brings me to this point with the RT versus the Hellcat. In the Hellcat, you're getting standard 6-piston brakes. You're getting standard the adaptive damping suspension system. It's a lower ride height. The car is just set up better to handle more power. And that's why if you're getting the RT, like say specifically the Scat Pack, I definitely recommend that you add the adaptive dampers, you add the dynamics package, which comes with the wider tires, 245s are super thin, and it comes with the 6-piston Brembos. Those two I think really are a must on the RT Scat Pack, because that car, you guys think about it, that car has the power level of an SRT from the previous generations. It's not called an SRT, but that's the same power level. So why wouldn't you want to have all of the same stuff that Dodge thought was necessary on the SRT to create really a full package that could handle well? So that's my take on it. I think really the Hellcat, stock for stock, handles better than the RT because it has all of this stuff. It's a much more manageable package. But if you get the RT Scat Pack, get those other couple of packages, and I think you'll be fine. At the end of the day, it's a big car, and you want to make sure you kind of set the car up right to handle the power and the weight. All right, guys, well, that's really it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and check out these ones, and I'll see you there. Thanks. Bye.